I get a lot of clients who are coming with heartache and how to let go, and this fascination or obsession they have with righting wrongs.
You can't beat honesty and integrity and then taking accountability and responsibility for your part to play.
Yeah. Why can't we be friends with ex-lovers?
Hi and welcome to the Paradox of Change. Today, Lottie and I cover a potentially controversial subject that's relevant for so many of us. Can we stay friends with our ex-partners? It's something we rarely talk about in a healthy way, but it does say a lot about ourselves and who we are, our boundaries and our values, how we accept ourselves and others. This week we explore what makes those friendships actually work or not, and how to handle them, sharing some personal stories, some practical advice, and how we approach relationships old and new. Let's get talking, shall we?
Now, there's a couple of things going on for me, is that I get a lot of clients who are coming with heartache and how to let go, and this fascination or obsession they have with righting wrongs and being able to sit in a place of, I didn't give permission to be let go of, so I can't get over it, and I'd like a second chance. And it's almost like that second chance is to say, or to validate ourselves in a way that actually says, I can't let go until I've done that. And interestingly enough, it's almost like if the other person that's decided to not be with you anymore doesn't give you that end story, you have to make it up for yourself. And I think that's what people are really finding it difficult to do.
Okay. How would you relate that to your own experiences?
Well, I guess in my life, my friendships or my partnerships, I haven't really let go of the people that have been in my life because I feel like they're so important to me. When we talk about that poem, you know, reason, season, and a lifetime, all the people that have come
I use
into
that
my
all
life,
the time, by the way. I steal
love
that.
I just feel like whatever was going on for me at that time, I was meant to meet those people, either friendship or partnership, and I just am so strong about why would we let those people go? And usually it might be because it's heartache and too painful, or it might be because the new partner that you've got won't allow it. So why can't we be friends with ex-lovers? Why can't we?
I knew we had a chance of this coming to bear, or at least we're going to have a conversation about this. And it's something that you and I think, have a similar view on and had a similar view on for a very, very long time. I'm in the same camp where if you met someone and it didn't work out for whatever reason and they're good people, why would you vilify them as the reason for a breakup? And I guess it doesn't extend to just relationships you've had with the opposite sex or a partner. It can also be friendships as well.
Yeah, definitely. And when we meet these people, when do we meet them? Do we meet them at the right time? Probably not. There might be an opportunity to engage fully, or there might be a reason that you've had to split up in the first place. So, but why do we let go of them completely to facilitate somebody else's growth? Because I think there's a loss.
What do you mean by facilitate somebody else's growth?
Well, I guess if you're in a relationship with someone and you said, no, you can't have these other people in your life anymore, then you're facilitating their growth. That's what they want for the relationship. But I wonder what the loss or the grief is when you let go of those people. I think that's quite important. I'm very strong on this.
I think there's a two-part to that. There is the losing, what's the loss of those people, but then there's almost a disingenuous element with your current partner, because it might be more about their old relationships and insecurities creeping into. So to feel safe, you can't have any ex-friends or ex-girlfriends, boyfriends as friends.
And I was reading the poem the other day called Yellow from Donna Ashworth. She's just an amazing poet, and it's a story about friendship and how actually we enhance. You know, who is your yellow in your life, and why would they not want to be there and enhance your pathway as well? So, I guess what I'm trying to say here is I think it's really important that if you think about the people in your life and why you've been extricated from them and not allowed to be part of their life. What is the loss of that? What is it that takes you to a place of thinking, I miss that person that I had a relationship with or a friendship with? So I was reading The F Word by Lily Pebbles. I don't know whether you ever listen to our podcast, Lily, but your name is just so cool. I was reading it yesterday and I absolutely love it. It's her story from her diaries that she was talking about friendships and the sort of pathway of what happened. And I was actually thinking, I will name one of my friends, Carol Bellamy. She was my first primary school friend.
Right.
And I stuck to her like glue and not because of who she was. She had the neatest writing I've ever seen in my life. And I always wanted to emulate that from her. But she's an absolutely gorgeous person as well. And it made me think right the way back. This book took me right the way back to my first friendship and how I felt so close. It was like a love affair. Because when you think about if you befriend somebody, you are actually doing the oxytocin, vasopressin. There's all the dopamine that's going on. So it is like a love affair without the sex, if you're talking about a friendship. And it really, yesterday I did a massive talk to myself on my phone, doing my own story of my pathway of friendships. And it was so, oh my God, I can't tell you how enlightening it was, and thinking about people and then thinking, oh my God, I forgot that person in between. What did they mean to me? Friendships are so important.
You know what? As you were chatting, then I'm genuinely thinking about my relationships when I was a kid. I didn't really have any. I think went to 11 schools. So there's never been a childhood friendship until I came to this local area. No, there hasn't been. No, and I was just thinking, how's that sculpted what a healthy dynamic and healthy relationship is? Maybe that is the reason why I think it's so important to hold on to good people, because I value that so much more because I didn't have it when I was a kid.
Yeah. And I think, Carol and I are still in touch with each other because the friendship is so strong. We know we're there for each other. We don't see each other on a regular basis, but the friendship is so there. We know each other's there, and it is, that's that feeling of her and her neat writing we always laugh about. It's just so there. And from that, I believe, and from what you're saying, there wasn't any friendships at a young age. I think that shapes us of how we then make friends, what that looks like.
I think as a young man, I kind of scooted from one relationship to another because I didn't know how to keep one in check or look after it.
Yeah. Well, I was sat down the beach yesterday reading some books, and this was one of the books I had with me.
Show off reading books and all.
Especially at the beach. But it just, honestly, it took me back to family of origin, why I'm like I am. So I'm a recovering people pleaser. And all of it come up for me, the whole gambit of why I wasn't. I was like more of a tomboy. And I feel like that was indoctrinated into me. I had to be a boy, not a girl, because that's what my mum wanted. And it just, this sort of memory that come back of all the friendships was so strong.
I'm going to put a pin in this conversation, say indoctrination and relationships and upbringing. That is something that we need to talk about. I know with Eastleigh Youth and young people, and obviously there'll be lots of confidentiality and we'll have to plan for it, but I think it's a really good topic. So we'll circle back to that, because I think that could be, I'm uncomfortable with the word indoctrination, but I experience it so much more, especially with social media and what young people are experiencing. But sorry, I went off on a tangent.
Yeah, no, that's right. But I think we've got to be careful, because there are so many people, when I talk to them about family of origin, they go, I'm not going to be horrible about my parents. This isn't actually being horrible about parents. This is actually being honest with yourself and transparent about the upbringing or the template that you've brought from there that was given to you. So it's not your script, it's your parents' script for you. Okay. And then what we do is we then lay that onto a partner. And what we're looking for is somebody to be that person for us. So to be that person to heal the wounds, help us navigate what's next, that sort of thing.
And it's all done almost like blissfully unaware, isn't it? It's just, it becomes our perceived shape of relationship.
But I don't see that we're slating parents. I'm seeing that we're dealing with hurt parents who are trying to recover.
Well, they were doing the best they could.
Absolutely.
And then we're doing the best that we can. Yeah. And a little bit of empathy and understanding that, age and stage and And actually, just you don't even have to forgive your parents if they did anything specifically wrong. It's just coming to terms with that's how they coped, that's how they survived, that's how they parented.
No, and I don't think we have to sit in a place of trying to work it out. I think if we choose to not have our parents near us, then that's a choice that we've made for our own mental health and well-being.
I guess they can be, well, I'm sure you've got friends and people that you know of that got a rather toxic relationship with family, and it makes you wonder why they want to stay with them or still connect with them. And it's that, I guess the emotional tug means you want to stay close.
It's the child you. It's the child you wanting it to be different, trying again and again in different ways to actually get that nurture, which wasn't there, or maybe not there.
I don't know much about inner child work. I don't know how much work you do in your practice, but how might you engage with that younger person inside you to start the process of healing?
I do lots of meditation with my clients, so I get them to really go back into their past in the fact that we do meditation. So we go on long walks, we go into a house, we revisit the little child, the little you. We sit on the stairs, they have a little conversation with the little you, and they come back out of that meditative state, and they don't have to share that with me. Usually people have a little tear that falls just outside one of their eyes because they're taking them back to the little you and saying, you've done really well to get to the age that you are, in the way that we handled ourselves within the family of origin. And that could have been in any way. It could have been retaliation. It could have been stonewalling. It could have been defensiveness. We did what we had to do to survive the family. And not all families need that. If we look at attachment, if you're a dolphin and you think to yourself, okay, we're in a secure attachment, that's absolutely fine.
What did you say, dolphin?
Yeah, when I talk about attachments, I always do it in it was my colleague Kate who brought it up first. It was if you think about yourself as a octopus, and the tentacles are going out, there's something about being anxiously attached, like where are you and what are you doing, and I'm not safe without you, and that sort of thing. And then if we look at the turtle, somebody who can be quite avoidant, so all the soft parts of them go inside and all you've got is this hard shell that you can't get near.
I love that.
So, and then we've got the anemone who actually pulls you in and spits you out because they're really fearful of closeness. And the dolphin is secure base, where you've actually had an upbringing where it was lovable and loved, and you're able to really
swim around in their pod.
Yeah, and what we need to do, all of us, is try to get to the secure base, but there will be things along the way that take us out of that. So when we talk about meta programs, we talk about attachment, we talk about all those things that we have to give to couples and help them. Hang on a minute. All of it is transferable and changeable.
Okay.
I believe.
You said meta programs.
Yeah, I love meta programs. It's what I call what's pissing you off when I'm talking to my couple. So meta programs are something like, so if you think of you and I for a minute, I think you're very detailed, which gets on my nerves, and I'm very abstract, which I know gets on your nerves.
As we just discovered trying to reset a password.
Absolutely, yeah. But I love how I am, and I'm guessing you like how you are. But if we were
I also love how you are.
But if we were in a partnership, that would really annoy us. So you might be, I don't know, messing about before we drive somewhere and you're writing down some instructions. I'm like, can we just get in the car and go? Because I'm abstract and we just got to be on the road and we can't mess around. And so I'm getting frustrated. And then that's why we would have a row. So there's lots of meta programs, and I do 5 for my couple. So they can actually start seeing it's a character structure from child where you're actually thinking about how is my partner being with me? It's on purpose, and it's so not. It's part of their structure. People who are on time and through time. Late or not late. Just think somebody's sitting in the car and the other person's going, just one more minute. I'll be there. Honestly, just one more minute. The hands are on the steering wheel and they're shaking, thinking, one more minute. And then they drive off without the person, which has happened in my therapy session. One person turned up.
I think I've actually done that once upon a time.
Have you?
Yeah, like 15 minutes, 30 minutes late, sitting in the car going,
not doing this.
Not doing this anymore.
Yeah. But it's not a fault. It's not a blame. It's a character structure.
Interesting.
It's really strong.
So our good friend James Penny and Sam Bell that do Flex Your Feelings podcast, they were chatting a little while ago, and I get the opportunity to listen to their podcasts often. And James was telling me how his client work, how what's helped him with his inner child and connecting with his inner child was putting a picture of himself as a child on his phone. And he mentioned, you know, how many times you pick up your phone
nice.
every day. So it just reminds him, gives him an opportunity to engage with that little person that needs to be fostered and cared for and looked after.
I love that. Yeah.
So I didn't want to leave that out because I thought that was quite good. Again, link in description. I'll send you that.
But also on my phone, I've got a little creature that actually used to run across the wall and follow me everywhere, but used to run really fast. And it was with me all my life. And it was interestingly, when my sister and I got back together, when she got back from Australia, I talked about it and she went, I had exactly the same. It's actually on my phone.
So an imaginary creature as a kid, or?
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Oh, bloody hell.
And that followed me all my childhood.
Can I offer it up to the camera?
So you can
I'm
see
try and lean over. That looks very sad.
There was a sadness in the childhood, absolutely.
Okay.
But it just followed me everywhere. And I was really surprised when my sister said that she had the same. And it was like protective, even though there was a sadness. Saw it all the time, going to school, wherever I went. It was just, and it was always like up and down the hedges and on the gates and up and down and everything. And it just ran all the time. It was always there.
So you and your sister had exactly the same thought?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it was protective. It did look sad. But yeah, I think it was a guardian of some sort. So that was probably my first friend before Carol. Interesting, isn't it?
Obscure as this might
sound mad now.
No, not at all. As obscure as this might sound, you know, as a young man, my parents owned a residential care home. There was a lot of talk from residents, and you know, there's like 50 odd people at any given point in under one roof, and they used to say, "Oh, this place is haunted," and at night time there would be lots of, especially if I did a night duty. I don't believe in ghosts, but my mum does. But there was certainly a lot of uncomfortable and comfortable energies that I experienced 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and an obscure memory just popped back up in the back of my mind when you said you had your friend running along fences and hedgerows looking out for you. Yeah.
And I think, you know, not just our talk, but actually sit down and have a conversation with somebody, because just us talking like this and yesterday reading those 2 books, it's just brought so much stuff up for me in a good way. Actually, that self-awareness, being able to think about things outside of it, but not having an affect on you, like to take you down. It's just like, I'm just thinking about it. I'm not feeling it. I'm just thinking about it. And all the friendships I've had, and some of them I've lost and some of them I've regained again. And I just love that thought that there's some hope that actually if you fall out with someone or it doesn't work out, you can actually revisit that and be able to come back to it. And obviously it's their choice as well.
What defines a good relationship?
Transparency. I think it's a heartfelt connection. I was going to go into, like, you know, all the other things, but actually as a therapist, I sounded therapy then. It's a heartfelt connection. You want the best for them.
So the unconditional really is paramount. And it's not a practice thing. It's a genuine need and desire for them to do well.
Yeah. Love is not jealous. Love is wholesome. And I think that is in partnerships and friendships. You want the best for them. You're not always trying to outdo them or be something more than you are. It's about being able to sit in that place of authenticity and being able to say, you know, I'm heartfelt in this relationship. And I think that's what you and I have. I think we're really fortunate that we have a relationship where both of us want each other to be really happy. And that's why this relationship works as well as it does. And I'd love our relationship. I'd love other people to have what we've got.
You just took my talk track. That's why I stayed quiet, because I was thinking, I think I know where this is going.
Yeah.
So how long have we been friends now?
Go on. I've
2010.
got no timeline.
2010. So yeah, 14 years.
Yeah. And it's wavered once, but it's always come back online, and the online bit never changes. And interestingly enough, I was reading something through those books, and it said sometimes through rupture, repair can happen and you're even closer. And that's in partnerships and friendships. So
that's just reminded me of Esther Perel. She talks about how relationships can be repaired through infidelity or because of infidelity. Is that kind of the same concept, through rupture, through trauma through hitting rock bottom, you have an opportunity to repair?
Well, what she's talking about is where's the aliveness as an individual and then as a couple. So I'm very much about seeing everybody as an I first and then choosing to be a couple. She's talking about the aliveness. Where is that with you in yourself and in the relationship? So if we go out of the relationship because we feel like we need to find that aliveness for ourselves, then we would be looking at repairing that if people choose to repair it. But we're also looking at actually why did that rupture happen in the first place? And what was the other person looking for? I think one of her sayings is, both of you weren't happy, but only one of you went outside. The other one could have done the same. There was nothing stopping them, but they chose not to. So it's the aliveness within the relationship that individually that you're looking for. And for me, it's about from that, you can have an even better relationship if you can get through it. If you can't, then obviously it doesn't survive.
Short-lived.
Yeah.
Have you worked with clients that have had that kind of trauma and their relationships have been able to repair it and go back to the way it was? Because I can't imagine that is even possible, but turned into something better.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And you can't go back to where you were. The script is completely changed. The trust has to be built. I think people always look at trust as in, let's build it quickly to be safe. And that's not how it works. The trust takes longer. What you're doing is accepting that it's happened in your relationship. You're doing forgiveness for each other and for yourselves. Why did we both get to this place?
Yeah, taking responsibility for your part to play.
Yeah, and then we talk about trust and how long that will take to build. And it's consistency. Doing the same thing, that repetitive repair is the thing that will build up the trust again. So, but I guess when we're looking at relationships, and I think there's Esther Perel hasn't, is it her? There was the hypnotherapist, Maris, somebody, I think her name is. Sorry, I will look it up. And Esther, they disagreed that actually you have to be friends.
In a relationship?
Yeah, I think they had a debate once, and Esther was very much, I do believe, about you don't have to be friends. But I feel like the start of a relationship needs to have a foundation, because if we've got the loved up stage, which we have, okay, the limerence, first of all, we're not seeking friendship, we're seeking that real closeness with each other, which is part of the lust. So we're very much bunny rabbits and getting together and that sort of thing. So for me, the friendship, intimacy and sex are the key to actually a relationship being there. Because when you lose the communication and the intimacy,
what have you got left?
You're looking for the friendship again. Where do we get to? Where have we gone?
I've spoken to friends, I've worked with clients, and it's all exciting, the limerence, but the reality of it is, if there was no foundation, which is what you're saying, you're kind of screwed. It will be a short-lived experience. It will be a flash in the pan. It will be like your poem, Reason, Season, or a Lifetime.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would get sucked into the limerence again.
Right.
I think maybe there's a bruised element to my psyche, but I think I would prefer to invest in relationships deeply and then see what happens. I'd be more trusting in a solid foundation as opposed to trying to backtrack, one extreme to the other. Can hear the pooch barking.
She's barking, yeah.
I got an Amazon delivery today. Don't think so. What were we saying about us?
Just solid friendship, that's what we've got, and it never falters. And I guess this podcast today for me is about the F word, friendship. And I would say to people, get that book, because it's a great book. And I think I'm sort of very slow on the uptake, because I think it's been out quite a while and a lot of people have read it. But I really think it's look at your friendship groups. Where are you with them? What are you investing? Where's the aliveness?
Which ones are investing in you and they're unconditional about how they want to invest in you? I think that's the thing. That's the key for me. Think about a younger audience might be listening. They come out of school, they might have 30, 40, 50, 100 friends. And then social media gives you that fake version of your friendship network. And then late 20s, early 30s, you start working, you become a little bit more competent and realize how challenging life can be. And then you look at your friend list. They are dwindling by the second. And then how many have you got left by the time you're in your late 30s, early 40s. I think you're lucky if you've got 3 or 4 friends that you can call upon at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you
But I
trust and
think that's
appreciate them.
enough. And I think it's interesting because I think I'm not sure which paper it was in, but it said about it's very difficult to make friends when you're much older. That's so not true. I've made so many friends in the last 10 years.
I find it easier now than
Yeah.
I can converse with people more openly, and I enjoy meeting people for the first time. It's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you.
I was not capable of that in my 20s.
Yeah,
just
so don't
uncomfortable.
listen to that, anyone. If you hear that or read that, it's not true. You can meet
well,
people
that is a
at
tip,
any
isn't
age.
it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll get your friendship group will diminish over the course of time. You will lose people along the way, but half of that is because you've grown, you've matured. There's different versions of you, and you're going to keep evolving, and then through that you become more confident in what you like, your values. You recognize people, red flags, even if they are heart-shaped, but you recognize red flags and you can invest in them accordingly.
Yeah.
I like the opportunity to meet new people because if someone's in the same frame of mind, you can have some amazing conversations.
Yeah, that's so true. And I recently, 6 months to a year ago, I've invested in meeting up with 2 friends of mine, girlfriends of mine, to repair. So taking responsibility of my part in it and what was happening at the time. We've been able to connect back up again, and it's really lovely, and it's still ongoing, and we're seeing where we go with it. But it feels good. There is something about, don't think it's forgotten or left. It's really great to do that, and yeah, be prepared for rejection. There might be a moment where they go, I don't really want to engage with that again. That's their right. They're allowed to say that. But what are you doing for yourselves? It's actually, that olive branch saying, actually, I'm really sorry that happened at that time.
You can't beat honesty and integrity and then taking accountability and responsibility for your part to play.
Yeah.
If you're still holding someone at arm's length saying they did me harm, then we're kind of seeing it all wrong. And I think you mentioned that earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah. But I think it's about the self-awareness you have to do before you decide to go and do the repair. Where am I with it? And if it doesn't happen in the way that I'm hoping it will, what is my rupture for myself? What have I put myself in? And for me, that I did a lot of work before I ventured towards thinking about that. But yeah, no, they both sort of said, yeah, let's see where we go with it. And I think that's good. And great, there's trust that's got to be built again.
I like the idea of mirroring healthy relationships. So my kids have the opportunity to learn those little tricks and tips and ways of being. True friendships are few and far between.
It's the depth, isn't it? Whether you feel close to someone or whether you've got an agenda or an attitude or something going on.
When I think about young men that might be focused on playing video games, stuck in a bedroom somewhere, and they can be in that state, they think they've got relationships because they're occupied and they're being entertained, and they've I think you said it earlier, their dopamine levels are being hit because it's an exciting game and it's a platform. But what the hell is it doing for their relationships long term? It's not real, is it?
But I think you've got to have a balance. I think both people should be doing something different from each other, but you've got to have, I'd like to think that there's one thing that they actually do together, and that's time. Spend time together. John Gottman talks about 6 hours a month to make sure that you do something within that time frame, whether that's a conversation, whether that's a check-in, whether it's going on a date night, doing something with each other.
Well, I saw on a podcast, I don't know if it was a Stephen Bartlett podcast, but something about a 6-second kiss.
Yeah, well, they're talking about the oxytocin, aren't they? That process of staying a bit longer, so you get more of a connectiveness. So it's the same as David Schnartz talks about hug and rehug. So your hearts sync with each other. So it's the same as kissing for longer, doubles, trebles that oxytocin feeling within your body. So wanting to do it more.
Can your heart actually sync with somebody else?
Yeah, if you do it long enough. There's a lovely yoga pose that we do in Tantra, which is Yab Yum, which the
sounds like a yogurt.
It's really hard to say, actually. But it's where the girl sits in that nook where the guy has his legs sort of crossed.
Yeah.
And you're fully dressed and that, but when you get comfortable and the girl puts it's not gender, actually, it doesn't matter what gender it is, put the legs round the back.
Yeah.
And then you put your cheek to cheek and you just rock backwards and forwards. It's the most hypnotic process going, and it doesn't matter about arousal all the way through. That's nothing. That's not what it's about. All that would descend and you're just rocking backwards and forwards. It's absolutely stunning. When I do my tantra stuff, I get them to do that, and they are gone. They are just in it.
I was falling asleep now.
I know. You have to ring a little bell to say, right, we've ended that, because they are so in it. It's absolutely amazing. I've done it myself and it is incredible. It's just a beautiful, that divine feeling of no one else is around. It's just us.
Although they might be in a room full of other people.
But you don't, everything disappears. I know myself when I've actually, and I know you know this as well, when I'm doing counselling sessions in front of a cohort of people, they all disappear and all I can see is the couple. You're in it completely.
Yes, I've had one experience of that, or a couple of experiences of that, when I've been up on stage and then you realise that you can focus on a few individuals that are really locked in.
Yeah.
And then you kind of, before you know it, your session's finished and the rest of the room's like, oh, there's 30 people here.
Yeah. And that's because you're actively listening or performing in some way. You're actually in that focus, which is fantastic. I was going to find that.
Go on, what are you going to show me?
I was going to read out that poem.
Yeah, read out Yellow.
Yeah. Okay, Yellow. Some people walk into your life with a light that can only be described as yellow, infusing the very air around with a silent sound of "this will be okay. Nothing hard can stay. We will find a way. Together we can reach calmer weather." These people, your yellows, are sunny, endlessly funny. They are warm and safe and a comforting place. They're a light things can grow in. They're a heart they wholly throw in. They are cheerleaders for your win. And if you have a yellow in this life, keep them bright. They thrive on giving out light. But they fight their own dark too. They need a colour beside them to push on through. And I think they found a fellow yellow in you. It's called from the book Growing Brave, Donna Ashworth. And I think I'm your yellow and you're my yellow.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no doubt in my world and in my mind that you are my absolute best friend, without a shadow. I've also got another, like, kind of a male friend who very similar to you, but also brings his own value in his way. But I think there's kind of 2 or 3 other individuals that are very close to me. Do you know what? As I'm saying this, I'm realizing that I learned how to have friendships because of you. So if I think about when I was a kid growing up, no relationships per se, but not ones that I felt like I've got my person, I've got my people. There was no one, not right through to late 30s. So thank you. Don't underestimate how important you are to me. Yeah.
And I think, this podcast has given us both an opportunity to actually air this and say this to each other, because I feel completely the same. And I think we've always wanted other people to feel this.
Yes.
Haven't we? We've always said it's a shame.
Why can't you bottle it? Why can't we? Yeah. And maybe this is one of a few opportunities for us to kind of share the value in having a relationship with someone you want only the very best for, and together you both grow.
Yeah.
And also not being, and if you're having a relationship with someone and they've got an ex that they're still friends with, absolutely. If it's got the traits of unhealthy, question it, have a healthy dialogue.
Yeah.
Don't break that relationship because of insecurities of your own. I guess that's a big ask, but it's so beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine you not around. It's unbelievably strong, the sense of connection that we have. And it comes from fostering that authenticity from the very beginning, both being real with each other.
If there's a little key takeaway from what we were talking about today, I think one of them is, for me, if you've got a good friend and there's someone that you care about, tell them you love them. Not like, oh, I love you. No, I love you.
Yeah. And think about, if you haven't read The F Word by Lily, please do, because yesterday I was just recording what she was saying, but my version of it on my phone. And it was so strong, and it took me back to my childhood, back to my parents. It just was so inviting to actually think, what was I doing when I was her age? And I didn't keep a journal. And I envy that she kept a journal. How fantastic that she can look back. And if you look in her book, she's got pictures of what she did of her family. It's just such an enchanting book. And yeah, if you get a chance, if you've already read it, then reread it and make your own script with it. I think it would be lovely. It's a bit like Gillian Anderson. Oh, I think she's absolutely stunning. She is gorgeous, and she's just done that book called Want, and it's about fantasies of women. She's got people to write into her and give them all anonymous, and her own in there, so we don't know which one is hers. And it's a lovely, beautiful book. It would be lovely if this could happen with your childhood. It'd be huge amounts of paperwork to go through, I guess. But write your own script for where you are in your friendship groups now. But read the book, and that's sort of like your template for it.
Good. Okay. Thanks, Lottie.
Thanks, Elliot.
Before we go, I want to leave you with this. Staying friends with an ex or anyone meaningful from your past isn't going to be easy, but it can be incredibly rewarding if there's no hidden agenda, and that's the key bit. It takes confidence, strong boundaries, and a willingness to embrace growth without getting defensive to really benefit from, effectively, this new relationship. If you've got someone in your life, past or present, who's added value, helped you grow, go through your journey, take a moment to reach out and let them know. Healthy connections are rooted in authenticity, and it makes really all the difference. Until next time, let's keep talking, shall we?